anyone. Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the busters, and everybody else in between. The Wicked Wednesday has begun as we've got a close baseball game going on right now in front of Grimace at Citi Field. The Los Angeles Dodgers scored 2 runs in the top of the second inning, and that lead has stood the test of time so far. But like the Rush song, time stands still. Time is standing still when you're only up by 2 runs over the explosive New York Mets that never quit. Walker Buehler, spectacular performance for Walker Buehler. And the Los Angeles Dodgers have just, boom. Kiki Hernandez. The Los Angeles Dodgers have just broken this game open. And Kiki Hernandez, a postseason legend. This year, this dude, I don't know what, he's got more home runs in the postseason than Alex Rodriguez does. Put him in the Hall of Fame. Put him in the Hall of Fame. The Dodgers have had a lot of opportunities to break this game open. You know, they scored a couple of runs. Boom. Kiki Hernandez steps up with a 2-run shot as we start this program right now. Top of the 6th inning, 2 out. In-game total is currently 6.5. The Dodgers are now 25-1 on the money line. The Metropolitans plus 1,100 to come back. So we'll keep our eye on this baseball game. We've got the WNBA Finals. There's another New York team in action tonight as well, the New York Liberty. And the New York Liberty right now are up a 2 spot late in this game, 77-75. There's 35 seconds remaining. The Liberty were 3-point road favorites. The total was 160.5, so they're a 152 right now. Not going to get there because it's as close as it is, unless potentially we get overtime, but we'll keep our eye on this as well, obviously, over the last minute. We've got NHL hockey tonight. The Ranger Red Cam Stewart stepping up and in. We've got one late game. We'll see who Cam likes in a couple of minutes. The Utah Hockey Club, they're minus 165 favorites on the road right now in the OC in Orange County against the Ducks. And I get it. Utah are off to a good start this year, but we're seeing the underdogs have been barking and biting in the National Hockey League. I think the Ducks, I don't think there's that much difference. Utah are a little bit better than Anaheim are, but I think Anaheim are pretty good I'm not saying Anaheim are making the playoffs or anything like that, but they've got a lot of young talent. They can put the puck in the net, this team. You're getting plus 135. So my play is the Anaheim Ducks in this hockey game, plus 135. We got college football going on right now. Florida International, FIU. Not a very good football team, but they got really cool uniforms. And speaking of not a very good football team, the UTEP Miners, who are essentially Austin Peay. Right, there's the Austin Peay coaching staff. They brought over a bunch of players. They've been struggling to put it together. They're offensively challenged. Yeah, I was wondering about FIU laying 7.5 in this game. And I liked UTEP, but I keep waiting for the right time to jump in game. They're getting 8.5 right now. And Florida International just scored, actually. So you're getting 8.5. UTEP's getting the football. UTEP's 0-6. Like I said, they're a terrible football team, but I think they're going to cover the number tonight. Sort of like New Mexico State last night, right? Desperate team. You know what? They're playing against an opponent that they can actually compete with instead of getting smoked. As we see, it's a 14-10 game. And speaking of getting smoked right now, we're on the wrong side of this one. Yet I had a little voice when I was taking Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State, one of these programs that were good at the FCS level. They step up in class right now. They're not that good. They're not as good as their record is. They don't win big games, and Western Kentucky's up 31-14 right now. So we're on the wrong side of that, and we really could use some points in this football game. But Western Kentucky's had the football most of the game, and they're content right now with the 17-point lead. Brady Cannon's going to step up and join us tonight. The Shriners Open. Brady hit 120-1 shot last week. We'll see who he likes this week in the Shriners Open. There is no off season when it comes to the PGA. So we're talking golf tonight. Paul Bovey steps up and in. We'll see who Paul's pulling the trigger on in the National Football League. Maybe he's got some college football plays for us as well. Major League Baseball, of course. We've got the Yankees and the Guardians getting back at it tomorrow. So we'll take a look at that. The Los Angeles Dodgers are now up 4-0. We're going into the bottom of the sixth inning right now. In-game total is 6.5, which still feels a little bit light. The Mets have been known not to roll over, and the Dodgers could still put a couple of other runs up on the board. So in-game total right now, I wouldn't be betting the under 6.5. I'd be surprised if the game just ended 4-0. The Dodgers are currently minus 400 to win the series. Big swing as far as the live market is concerned. The Liberty and the Lynx are now tied at 77. We have the over in this basketball game, over 160 points. The only way we're going to get there is if it goes to overtime. So there's 15 seconds left. We got a tie game right now. They're at a $154 pivotal game. It's only a 5-game finals in a WNBA. So they're tied at 1. This is a big-time game. The Liberty were 3-point road favorites against the Minnesota Lynx. We are on the Lynx plus the 3. So we got a tie game right now with 15 seconds left. So we'll keep our eye on that as well. Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Babano, will throw it down with us. One thing about Babano is well-versed in these train wreck midweek football games. So we'll take a look at tomorrow's train wreck football games. And, of course, in the National Football League, we've got the Sean Payton Bowl. Look forward to Brady Cannon's take on that, as well as Brady Cannon's San Francisco 49ers, a Super Bowl rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I guess it's a double Super Bowl rematch over the Kansas City Chiefs. And we've seen this in the past before. Teams that lose in the championship game generally win the regular season, revenge game. And it really, there's no solace in it at all because you still lost the championship. But to me, it's a pretty big game, actually, if you're the San Francisco 49ers. And listen, it's a big game because you're 3-3, but it's a big game if you're the San Francisco 49ers. Just sort of, emotionally, right? Mentally, can you beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Or you can have a double-digit lead and lose the football game again. And we all know one thing about Patrick Mahomes. Well, Travis Kelce is out partying with Taylor Swift. Mahomes is paying attention to the point spreads. As remember, Mahomes famously said, we should never be an underdog against anybody. So Patrick Mahomes is going to be aware, right, of the point spread once again. And that's something that motivates, right? Great athletes. They always need something to keep pushing them. Even, you know what I mean? You wonder, how do these some of these teams stay healthy and as hungry as they do to as in a frame of mind of, just it's never enough to win more. A lot of teams will win, and then after that, hey, we're good. We won a championship. Mahomes is driven by every little thing. Not Michael Jordan, right? Yeah, they told me Dan Marley was a good defensive player, so I took it personal. Mahomes looks like a nice guy, but he's actually a killer. Like, Mahomes like a hitman that shoots you in the face, but he's smiling and he's talking like Kermit the Frog when he does it. He doesn't look scary and he's not mean and stuff, but he's a killer, right? He's a killer. So we got some big time interesting football games. Houston and Green Bay this week, and of course the Sean Payton Bowl on Thursday night with Spencer Rattler and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are really, really beat up on the offensive side of the football, hosting the Denver Broncos. Although I liked what I saw from Spencer Rattler in his debut, and I think Rattler will be the future quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. I think he'll be a good NFL quarterback. He'll get a shot at least. Eventually, Carr's not going to be there forever. They drafted him for a reason. One thing about Spencer Rattler is he's used to not being on a good team. Like, he was running for his life with the South Carolina Gamecocks, and I think that's good. I think that's what's going to help Shedeur Sanders when he gets to the National Football League. Shedeur Sanders never played with a good offensive line before, right? It'll help him when he's under duress. This is SportsRage.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Wicked Wednesday has begun. We got a full house on the program tonight. We got a baseball game going on right now at Citi Field, and it's never over until it's over, as the great Yogi Berra once stated. But especially with his New York Met team, things can change in a hurry, right? The Dodgers are up 4-0 right now, but suddenly the Mets have runners on first and second. There's only one out. They're a swing away from making this game 4-3, but what a massive couple of runs that was for the Dodgers to tack on to their 2-0 lead So big-time drama tonight at Citi Field in New York. Let's bring in Cam Stewart and Brady Cannon. Cam, I'll throw it to you first. We got a hockey game that just started right now, and we're a couple of minutes in. We're about 12 minutes into the Bruins and the Avs tonight. That game is a pick'em right now. And the Utah Hockey Club and the Anaheim Ducks have just dropped the puck. What are your hockey picks tonight, Cam?
It's actually a great night, Gabe, other than the Sabres blowing it, hit everything. But I'm going to take a shot with the under 6.5 in Boston and Colorado. Both teams need to actually pay attention to defense because they've been so bad defensively. I think things are going to tighten up tonight. And give me a shot with the underdog Ducks tonight against the Utah Hockey Club, plus 140. Dostal, their goalie, had a shutout in his first game, and I like this kid a lot. And I'll tell you one thing, Gabe, I know something. Certain teams play teams tough. Anaheim always gives the former, now it's Utah, but the former Arizona Phoenix Coyotes fit. So going to take a shot with the dog in the late game. Not a huge play, but give me the Ducks. Quack, quack.
I do like the Ducks. I don't think there's that much difference between Utah and Anaheim as far as talent is concerned. Utah are off to a good start, but a live home dog right now, plus 135 in-game. And the Bruins and the Avs, the Avalanche, of course, are struggling this year. They haven't won a game yet. Game is basically a pick-em right now. I would lean to the Boston Bruins, but I don't really like the Bruins, so I don't really feel like, people say don't bet with your heart, but Brady, I don't feel like pulling for them right now. It's one of those deals where I don't want, if I bet on the Bruins.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to pass, right?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes that's the best move. If
I bet on the Bruins,
feeling it, you don't want to, then hey, don't just go throw money irresponsibly.
No, exactly.
Sure.
If I'm, it's like, I think if I had to bet it, but if I bet on the Bruins and they lose, it'll really bother me. So I'm like, I'm not fully feeling it, but I am. This is, and I'm saying I'm not full and feeling that, and then I'm going to step in with this big time degenerate look here. But the UTEP Miners, an 0-6 football team, they're getting 7.5 points right now in game. I missed an opportunity. They were up to plus 14.5 at one point. They were plus 11.5. They've sort of been bouncing around, but they are hanging in this game. And I think they can hang. I don't think FIU should have been 7.5 point favorites. So we just pulled the trigger, 7.5. UTEP have the football right now at midfield. Yeah, let's go. It's 7 and a hook, and we're down. You know what? We're down by 4. I think this will come down to the wire, and UTEP will probably lose a heartbreaker when it's all said and done. So we'll keep our eye on the baseball.
Reggie, I got one for you, and I thought I'd throw this out, and I've hit your levels of craziness. NBA exhibition. Do you know this team, the best team in the Bundesliga? Big Pharma, German, ULM, Ratio Farm, getting 37 against Portland. I'm on it. I did some research on these guys.
Yeah, how about that?
That's gorgeous. That is beautiful.
You like that, Brady?
Big
That's
Pharma
awesome.
tonight.
That's fantastic.
37 pills, please. As a dog.
The Portland Trailblazers. Yeah, they're playing Ratio Farm ULM.
Yeah.
Portland Trailblazers minus 33.5 right now. Like I said, it's very cool that the WNBA does this. Excuse me, the NBA. And, of course, the WNBA finals, we have a final score here, and a game does not go to overtime, which is a horrible beat. The Liberty hit a 3 at the buzzer to win, 80-77. Wow. So if you depending on what you bet, it was a push. It was 3.
Oh,
there were 3 points.
The total? Oh, no.
No, I pushed the side. I lose the total. The total was 160.5. The Lynx were getting 3. It was 77-77, Brady, with 15 seconds left at 80-77 final. Big win for the Liberty.
15 seconds left. You figured that was headed for overtime, but, that
and
deadly 3-dagger at the buzzer.
I don't know what the hell's going on here. You gave the Bruins the bad cheat, or the good cheat, I should say. 1-0 Boston in Colorado.
Should have got in on that. So, Brady, I brought it up actually off the top of the show. San Francisco and Kansas City once again. Everybody's going to say it's just a game, and Shanahan has been asked about it a million times this week, and no one's going to say it's the be-all, end-all. But when you lose to a team in the Super Bowl a couple of times, let's just be real. I mean, anytime you see the logo, you see the logo, you see the players, you see the jersey, and you remember these people. It's the definition of they took food off my plate. You know what I mean? They took the Super Bowl ring. They took the State Farm commercials away from us. You know what I mean? Maybe I could be dating Taylor Swift if we won the game. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean,
right,
there's
it's
a
one
big
of those
guy
type
like
of
that,
deals. Like, yeah, like if you're a Niner player, I mean, that's to be real, Brady and Ken. But seriously, Brady, like if you're a Niner player, it's a big game for you. Let's just be real.
I think it's probably in Kyle Shanahan's head more than it is the players. The players, I think, really like to mix it up with the Chiefs. They know it's as good as it gets as far as a test. And, you know, you're playing the very best. You're playing the 2-time Super Bowl champ, an 8-time division champ. You know, they're probably a little bit fired up for this. I heard George Kittle talking about it. He's like, I love playing the Chiefs. Now, Shanahan, that's probably tough on him for sure. You know, you were talking about it, and it seems right. It's like with the Buffalo Bills. They lose to the Chiefs when it counts, but they beat them in the regular season. It's been kind of both for the Niners. I remember a couple of years ago when Kansas City, or I think San Francisco was a home dog to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs just annihilated them. I made the game pick 'em. And obviously the Niners are a 1-point favorite. I've seen 1.5. It's 1.5 in the super contest here. I think the general public, there's never going to be any shortage for Chiefs money out there. The public loves to bet the Chiefs, and they'll probably do it again because they remember those 2 Super Bowls we're talking about, and they think they have the Niners number. Niners could be the right side this time. Now, if they make it to the postseason again and they meet up again, well, you know what's maybe going to happen there. But yeah, I'd probably side with San Francisco a little bit here.
You know, we're not taking anything away from KC. They're undefeated, and you've got to give them their just due.
There's
their defense is like, but their defense doesn't really get the credit it deserves, but really does feel like a San Francisco spot to me.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Wicked Wednesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. So the New York Liberty win 80-77. 1 win away from the WNBA championship. And the New York Mets are in action right now, but they're down 4-0 right now. And we're in the top of the 7th inning. We've said it before. We're going to say it again. Very difficult for multiple teams from the same city to win. And no disrespect to the Liberty, but I'm sure most people in New York would trade the Liberty win for the Mets win. We're like, yeah, that's cool. The Liberty won, but how does that help me, right? So the Liberty are one win away from the WNBA championships, but a great series actually. And Dodgers up 4-0 right now. Teoscar Hernandez is up at the plate. So we'll keep our eye on this. We're just talking about the NFL right now before we wrap up the Niners and the Chiefs game. I tell you guys, Bill Parcells and his famous quote was, "You are what your record says you are." That was after 8 weeks, but we're creeping up. The season's on fast forward right now, and you look at the standings, and specifically, guys, in the NFC West. Right? So we can talk about the Niners and revenge and all this type of stuff. This is just a big football game for the San Francisco 49ers as a whole. And it's crazy. Yeah. It's bad. Look, put it this way, guys. As crazy as this sounds, dude, let's say the 49ers lose and the Arizona Cardinals, everyone's down on the Cardinals. The Cardinals beat the Chargers. They have the same damn record. That's 3-4.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's run away with this division.
Cardinals own the tiebreaker, right? Because they beat the Niners.
Yes.
How about that? And I think that's very possible.
And they beat the Rams in the division. They're actually a good division team. So, they win this game suddenly. And I, for the record, I'm in the minority. I actually like the Cardinals over the Chargers on Monday night. But
I like the Cardinals
too.
Yep.
The Cardinals,
already played them in a teaser.
They're an easy team to figure out. When they suck, you bet them the next week. When they're good, you don't take them again.
Yep, you got it. Yep. That's exactly the recipe.
But they'll throw in 2 bad games every once in a while too. But I can see them stepping up here.
Team. I think they're a pretty good team. You're right. You got it. And I think you're correct, Gabe. As far as your read on them, they're a seesaw affair. Up 1 week, down the next, but. I think their best is pretty good. I mean, they beat the Niners. They gave the Bills a heck of a run. They smashed the Rams. I don't think they're that bad of a club. They have some holes on defense. They had some injuries when they lost to the Commanders. But they've got a lot of talent on, obviously the tight end, the running game, the quarterback. Kyler Murray looks good this year. The receivers, Harrison Jr., they're not a bad club at all.
The thing with the Chargers is, I like what Harbaugh is doing, but he's playing Big Ten football in the NFL, right? He doesn't have a ton of weapons. You got McConkey, so they're sort of grinding it. You know what I mean? The Chargers, there was a perfect fit for them to play the Broncos. 2 teams, bad offense. Exactly. All right, let's go head-to-head here. It's crazy to say, let's see Herbert and the Chargers keep up, but if things are clicking and Kyler Murray's on top of his game, they're going to put points up on the board, and then suddenly – it's going to be like Michigan with Harbaugh. All right, we're down. Can you put points up on the board? We can't just run the ball, coach, with J.K. Dobbins 22 times in a row here. So, I'm fascinated by that. 4-0 in the baseball game still.
Hey,
all right, we'll get to the golf picks in a couple of minutes.
Game. One more thing on that. You and I and Cam, we were talking about it over the break, and we failed to mention it in the last segment. The Chiefs are off of a bye, and I think, the cat's out of the bag. The world has known for a while now that Andy Reid is nearly perfect when he comes off of a bye, especially against the spread. And I think the public will buy into that storyline. And just like they like to bet the Chiefs already, now they've got, that to add fuel to the fire. But that bye is offset a little bit by a situation where I like to bet against that team, like the Chiefs that went into the bye unblemished, on a roll, undefeated, and then that bye puts a wedge in their momentum. And the last thing the Chiefs needed was to pause. A team that's struggling needs a pause. They need to reset. But a team that's on a roll, the last thing they need is to stop. And I like to bet against that team coming out the other side. So, you got 2 factors there with the bye. I kind of lean a little bit San Francisco here.
And guys, remember when San Francisco was cruising, Gabe, last year in Brady? They went into the bye and then they lost to Cleveland. All those bad things happened after the bye when they were on cruise control, correct? So those things can happen the other way. So I'm kind of with you. I like San Francisco.
Andy Reid, 21-4. 21-4 off of a bye. 28-3 if he's off a bye and the other team isn't. Wow, it's a crazy run for Andy.
It sure is. Guy's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's funny, they ran him out of Philadelphia. That's why I think about McDermott at times. I'm like, man, you want to fire the guy. He's actually a good coach. And maybe in 6 years he'll have 2 Super Bowls. You never know, right?
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we were just talking about Andy Reid's crazy numbers off a bye week, 21-4, 28-3 if the other team isn't off a bye. Lamar Jackson, that's the other, there's a doubleheader this week on Monday Night Football. Baltimore at Tampa, fun game. And Lamar Jackson, guys, 22-1 straight up in his career against teams in the NFC. You can say, all right, Lamar Jackson. So, in other words, John Harbaugh is 22-1 against the NFC, right? The Baltimore Ravens, you know, because he's been the coach the whole time there. And that's a fun game, Brady, on Monday Night Football as well. You know, we were all on the same page as far as Arizona is concerned. It's tough to get in front of this, and Baltimore are playing peak football right now. But Tampa can trade points with anybody. They're going to have a hard time stopping the run, but Baker Mayfield and those wide receivers are going to tear apart Baltimore secondary, in my opinion. I love the over of the football game, but you know, I'm talking myself into the Bucs being a live home dog here at +3.5.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is definitely becoming an over team, aren't they? We saw that last week. That game went over in the first half against the New Orleans Saints. You love that when you're on over the total. I made the game 3.5. It opened up 4, and we're seeing it down to 3.5. So, you know, I'm not necessarily seeing an advantage either way. I think 3.5 is probably the right number. I don't really know which way to go there. It was a big win, I think, last week on the road at home over the Commanders. Now they go on the road at Monday night. I think historically speaking, on Monday night, you take the home dog. Probably a game I'm not going to play, guys, because, you know, I was spot on with what the number is, and I haven't found anything to lead me, you know, one way or another just yet. But I like your call on the over, Gabe. Tampa Bay, like I say, is definitely looking like an over-the-total team so far this season.
All right, let's get to the Shriners Children's Open. Another tournament this week. Got a couple of tournaments, actually, and I'm sure Cam will have something on the Andalusia Masters. John Rahm, +280. Thorborn Olsen, 20-1. Dear God, John Rahm, is like +280. Then the next guy is 14-1.
Exactly.
Yeah, Højgaard 14-1. All right, so as far as the Shriners is concerned, though, some big numbers. One of these tournaments with not the big name players there. So you got Tom Kim in the 15-1 range. Canadian Taylor Pendrith 24-1. Davis Thompson 30-1. My guy Seamus Power 30-1. Kitayama 30-1, Bo Hostler 35, Cam's favorite golfer Eric Cole 35-1, Tom Hoagie 37-1, Adam Hadwin 37-1. And a lot of love for the Canadians this week, actually. And Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor was like 70, 80-1 earlier in the week. I'm seeing Nick Taylor at 50-1 right now in a respected golf book, guys. So I'll throw it to you first, Brady, and then Cam. But what do you think of the Shriners Open here, Brady?
Yeah, it's actually got a little more star power than some of the recent events we've seen as a part of this FedEx Cup Fall Series. You know, Las Vegas typically does attract a few good players to this tournament here that's been around for a long, long time. Now they play exclusively at TPC Summerlin. And I was talking to Cam a little bit about this earlier today. You see the action coming in on Taylor Pendrith. You mentioned the Canadians coming in on Taylor Pendrith, and you see heavy action coming in on Nick Taylor as well. I'm telling you, people are blindly betting guys that are teeing off early on Thursday because of the weather forecast. Tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, it's supposed to be very calm. The wind is supposed to pick up around 2 o'clock in the afternoon here local time. I don't know how frisky it's going to get, but it could get pretty crazy. Could be up to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon here on Thursday when that late wave is in the middle of their round. Then on Friday morning, the wind is supposed to continue to blow overnight. Friday morning, it's supposed to reach, as high as 35 miles per hour. And the early forecast was calling for it to calm down on Friday afternoon. So if you have a tee time early Thursday morning, which translates into late Friday afternoon, that could be what looked like initially this week a massive advantage weather-wise. And that's why guys are coming in and betting the guys that have that draw blindly, two of which are Taylor Pendrith and Nick Taylor. Now, I've lived here 30 years. If it's blowing 35 miles an hour in the morning, I don't think that's all of a sudden suddenly going to come to a screeching halt and these guys are going to have a walk in the park in the afternoon. I think some guys might catch it just right. Some guys might catch this draw just wrong. But I don't know if it's going to be that defined where you just blindly bet the morning guys and stay away from the guys that are teeing off late Thursday and early Friday. I think it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. It is telling about the wind. The last 8 years, aside from Patrick Cantlay, when that tournament was in a ton of wind as well. Other than that, the average winning score here has been better than 22 under par. It's a birdie fest. Now, the winning score this week that they put up at the Westgate Superbook was 14.5 under par. So a 6-shot difference. So they are definitely prepared for what they feel is going to be some pretty heavy wind on Thursday and Friday.
I understand it's $1,250 to play a round of golf, even more expensive than the Wynn Golf Course, Brady, here in Vegas.
At Shadow Creek. Yeah. That's
more
where they're going to
expensive
have
even.
the showdown. TPC Summerlin is a private club. I've played there many times. It's a wonderful place, a lot of fun to play. Shadow's a whole different animal. Shadow's where they're going to play the match there in December with Bryson.
Oh, is that December?
Yeah. I think it's
Speaking of
December
weather,
17th.
Listen, I went to the F1 race in November last year, and even the drivers complained it's too cold to be racing.
Right.
In Vegas, like in the wintertime.
Early November can be fine, but you start getting to Thanksgiving, it can be pretty chilly.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the golf could be a little chilly out there. Okay, so let's get to your picks. We'll get to Cam's picks tonight as well, but let's get Brady's picks up here for the Shriners. What do you got for us, Mr. Cannon?
I started with Bo Hostler. He's been in really good form. He's played well at this tournament before. It very much worries me that he has the third highest ticket count percentage at BetMGM. I hate to be in the majority
Who's
like that.
Who's the biggest liability there? You always bring that. Who's the biggest liability?
The biggest liability is Tom Kim. The second biggest liability is another guy I'm on, and this kind of worries me too, Harry Hall. Harry Hall, the Englishman, played at UNLV, had a good week last week in Utah. He's a birdie machine, and he can putt lights out. He's played this course 100 times. I got him at 44-1. He tees off in the morning on Thursday, so there's that as well. But it worries me when I see how popular he is at BetMGM. I played Cam Davis. You look at all these guys, too. Harry Hall knows how to play in the wind, being from UNLV. Bo Hostler knows how to play in the wind from being from University of Texas. Cam Davis, the Australian people or Australian golfers anyway, may be the best wind players in the world. Davis finished 7th here last year.
Canadians too. Another reason why I like the Canadians.
And I took Adam Hadwin. He's been a machine here and also down at La Quinta at the American Express. The guy makes a living being an accurate driver of the golf ball off the tee and has a tremendous short game. And that's really what you need. That's what we've seen out of winners here at the Shriners Children's Open. So Hadwin, Hostler, Davis, Harry Hall, and then a couple of longer bombs. Patton Kazire, who's done well here in the past, has done well on the correlated courses, and just won a few weeks ago in Napa at the Procore Championship. And then finally, Lee Hodges, another guy that tees off in the morning, is an extremely accurate driver of the golf ball. Driving accuracy is a big statistic here. The fairways are really wide, but what we have seen, be one of the most telling stats here is driving accuracy. Hodges, very accurate off the tee, great ball striker. He tees off in the morning. That could be an advantage. And I got him at 100-1. I've seen him drop down to as low as 60. And again, I think that's the effect where guys are and he finished 8th last week in Utah. I think a lot of guys, wise guys, are just blindly betting guys that are teeing off on Thursday morning as opposed to Thursday afternoon.
Cam, what do you think of Brady's picks?
Love them. I'm on Hall as well. I looked at Kazire. I Bo Hostler for a top 10, so we have some of the same stuff. Also, liabilities include your boy, Seamus Power, and my guy who finished second last week, Steven Yager. Would have been nice to get a winner home, Brady, and he just finished second. But to McCarty, I got it that I took the week before. That's golf for you.
I knew you'd have Eric Cole. We'll get to Cam's picks after.
Yeah, I always got Eric Cole. Yeah, he's a problem.
Keep your eye on Cam Davis. Cam.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Derek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, thanks to Brady Cannon for joining us. Show's just flying by. Quickest 120 minutes in sports talk and television. Tonight, this is SportsRage, Sirius XM, Channel 159. On the radio side, SportsGrid TV. Shout out to all of our television affiliates, smart TVs, app, platforms, whatever you're watching us on right now. 4-0 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're in the top of the 8th inning right now. The Dodgers do have a runner on first base. Kiki Hernandez is up, the playoff killer. This guy's unbelievable in the postseason. Stepped up with a 2-run shot to give the Dodgers a little bit of a cushion. Walker Buehler Unbelievable performance for Buehler tonight. Got in trouble a couple of times, but got out of it. Had a lot of movement on his pitches, and he had some swagger in which he was starting to talk smack to the Mets after he was mowing them down a little bit. So we got ourselves a series here. Dodgers up 4-0. We'll keep our eye on this. The New York Liberty take a 2-1 series lead. Let's bring in Paul Bovey, New York Liberty season ticket holder. What's up, Paul? No.
I'm not.
I don't see you next to Spike Lee. You're not on the Knicks either.
Yeah, well, I was going to say. I was going to say, Spike Lee has brought his clown show over to the Liberty now, and I wish he would stay out of MSG altogether. But
so you're not a fan? I got to be honest. In the old days, it was different, Reggie Miller, but it seems kind of tacky now, to be honest. Like when you're getting into it with Kelsey Plum, it's like, leave her alone, Spike. Let her play, bro. Like, what you know what I mean? Like she turned around. She's like, why don't you shut up? Like she told him, why don't you just shut up? And he got into it with her. It's, really, Ken. But I like it. In a way, it was like it's equal treatment. The WNBA is so big now. Like people liked it. The WNBA is so popular that Spike Lee goes to the games and chirps the players. But it was really funny seeing Kelsey Plum. She made like a short reference to him too. She's like, "Shut up, you little dude!" Like she was like, she was married to Darren Waller, bro. Spike Lee isn't going to intimidate her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he's probably taller than Danny DeVito, but not by much.
He's Jersey Mike? That's the best.
Yeah. He's just a clown. And actually, he defected from the Knicks for a while and went over to Brooklyn. And I just wish he would have stayed there. By the way, I tuned in for the last couple minutes.
Tony goes deep. Tony goes deep, a 3-run shot. I knew he was going to break through. We didn't take him to hit home run, but we got the total base prop. That's good. We'll take it. Oh, Dodgers up 7-0. You like that, Grimace?
Wow.
Yeah, Grimace.
Go have a chicken nugget, Grimace. Go have a fish fillet and sit down.
Wait. Go have a filet o fish. I like Grimace. He's a good mascot, but I'm on the Dodgers tonight too.
Yeah. Matt's hopping on McDonald's. Oh, yeah, let's get McDonald's cool. But anyways, I got no beef with Grimace. Just a little friendly smack talk. Sit down, Grimace. We're on the Dodgers, Paul. 7-0 Dodgers right now. They broke this game open. So no, as far as Spike Lee though, pretty so you don't like his antics, but he has spent, man. We talked about the number there. It's like $2 million in tickets over the years. That he does pay for them.
So does Bovey.
And first of all, they inducted into this Hall of Fame for fans thing. There were a lot of Knicks fans a lot more dedicated than Spike Lee. Spike Lee has money. Okay, $2 million. What's $2 million to Spike Lee? He made his first movie in 1985.
Bitter.
I like it.
I'm going to tell you something. I actually tweeted MSG and I offered them $10,000 if they could find a way to keep Spike Lee out for the entire season. Not that that's going to happen.
No, come on!
I did.
You really did that? Oh my God!
You could look up the tweet. I will find the
You're
tweet
insane.
And I will send it to you. I will find the tweet and I will send it to you. I met Spike Lee.
I met Spike Lee, and it was many, many years ago. So it was right after, Do the Right Thing type era, and it was in Mexico. And I saw him, and I actually had a homicide, my bad homicide. Our record came out and stuff, so I had a bunch of them. And I went up to Spike Lee we were in a sports bar in Cancun, Puerto Vallarta. There was like one sports bar. It was next to like the sports Calientes. So there was like the sports book Calientes, and there was this bar, and basically every American that was in Mexico seemed to be there. So Spike Lee's there, and I go up to his table and stuff. I'm like, "Hey, Spike, how you doing, man?" And he's with a bunch of big goon type dudes, security guys. And I told him, I said, "You ever need a metal band or something to be in one of your movies for whatever reason? I'm your guy." And I gave him the CD. And he's like, "All right, yeah, cool." He takes it, And then literally and figuratively, like by chance, I saw him in a club like 12 hours later. Like I was all lit up. We're all partying and stuff. There's Spike Lee. And he was actually holding my CD still. And I went up to him. I said, I swear to God, bro. I said, I would just assume you would have just left it on the table after I walked. He goes, no, bro. I'm going to check it out for real. And I was like, I remember telling the guys in the bed, I said, he kept it. I'm telling you, I got a good feeling about this. I'm going to get a call from him one day. I'm telling you, man. And the call never came.
But Paul won't let you. Paul won't let you. Let him call you, Gabe. $10,000 not to pick up the
Paul
phone.
Karen Bovey in the house here. Yeah,
I
tweeted
met him
MSG,
twice.
10 grand.
I met him.
Wow.
I met him twice. And he was not cordial to me. Okay,
Wow.
I understand. Maybe look. Maybe
well,
I'm
he knows
Italian,
you're trying to get him booted.
You know? I don't think he likes Italians. Look, do the right thing. I don't think he likes Italians. Okay, but whatever. I got to say this, Gabe. I tuned into the last few minutes of the show, and I could not help overhearing you mentioned F1. I think I've already thrown more obscenities at F1 than I did at Will Levis on Sunday, because I'm right there on Flamingo, and it's just caused chaos getting out of this place and in this place.
Oh, if the pre-race production has begun and it's causing you problems, huh?
Nightmare.
Oh God!
All right, we'll be back with more with Old Man Bovey on the other side.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Sirius XM Channel 159 on SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. The UTEP Miners are up 17-14 on FIU right now. Another nemesis of Paul Bovey. Paul Bovey's a Florida Atlantic alum. Hates FIU with a passion. Scumbags from Miami.
No, it's not like that. We didn't even have a football team when
you
I
didn't
was
have
there.
so.
We didn't have anything.
There was a brief rivalry between the two of them, actually, FIU and FAU. But seems to be in the past. 7-0 Dodgers. Ohtani pops one. Dodgers rolling and pitching another shutout tonight. Very impressive stuff from the Dodgers pitching staff once again. Really, in the last 5 games, the Dodgers have had 2 bad innings. Right, the Mets scored in the Grand Slam. They scored 5 in the third, I think it was the other night, the second or third, whatever. And San Diego scored 6 in 1 inning. Other than that, the Dodgers just mowing people down. They've held the Mets to 4 hits, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on the Mets now tomorrow night to avoid going down 3-1. So the Liberty won, but let's get to some football right now. I was just talking, Paul, any action for you at all on the UTEP game? Or is this too much of a degenerate weasel bet for you tonight, this game? FIU and UTEP.
I didn't really have a chance to dial into the game. I got plenty of action this weekend. I got plenty of action Saturday. So, look, it's time to make some cash. We didn't do well on Tennessee last week. I gave that one out. But I did duck out of the game live and prior to the game, because Kwity Paye and Lloyd at cornerback were not inactive. So I just figured Will Levis. I wanted Mason Rudolph. We didn't get him. Will Levis, 83 yards passing up until that last desperation pass, which put him in the 90s. It's ridiculous that Callahan did not opt to go to Mason Rudolph at some point during the game. These receivers are going to get very frustrated. Calvin Ridley, I don't think he caught a pass. It was awful. The whole thing was awful. It was an embarrassment.
Why don't they go to Rudolph? They put Rudolph in against Miami when Levis got hurt and they won the game convincingly. Pollard was good in the game. The receivers got the ball. I get it. I don't understand Will Levis is young, Gabe, but there becomes a point where you go, we win with Rudolph. Rudolph did the same damn thing with the Steelers. He was efficient. That's the whole thing. Tennessee's defense is good. Take a look at the results. It's actually good. Killing them. It's killing them. I don't understand what they're doing. It's ridiculous.
They want to see if Will Levis is their quarterback in their future, right?
He's not.
That's what it comes down to. Because Mason Rudolph isn't. And we talked about it last week, Paul. We brought it up. I can't dispute it. I don't think Tomlin liked Mason Rudolph. They blame him for getting hit in the head with the helmet from Garrett. They were like, you provoked it. It caused problems. He never got a fair shake in Pittsburgh. You defended him more than anyone, Paul, right? Mm-hmm. He was more productive. They didn't want to play him. And in Tennessee, it's almost like, all right, we have to put him in, so we'll put him in. And if they have any excuse to get him out, they get him out. But they already threw Malik Willis under the bus for Will Levis, and you saw Malik Willis look pretty good in Green Bay, so they might have already made one mistake there. Then they go with Will Levis. We all know Will Levis ain't the future quarterback, right? I mean, they might be one of the worst teams in the NFL when it's all said and done this year. They're going to have a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, I think.
Unless he has a Sam Darnold-like renaissance, revitalization, it does not look like it. But, of course, they pay the guy, and the owners want to, get a return on the investment. And that's why quarterbacks end up staying in longer than they should. Look at Deshaun Watson, a $253 million investment, and they don't want to pull him for Jameis Winston. Understandably so, to some degree. But at some point, you're going to lose the team. That's the problem.
Paul Bovey in the house with us. All right, Paul, so you're looking for some points this week. Detroit and Minnesota. Minnesota coming off their bye week after the London trip. They're an undefeated football team. You get the Detroit Lions, who put a boatload up last week on the Dallas Cowboys. They lose Aiden Hutchinson coming into this game, and there's already talk about them picking up Hassan Reddick, actually, which would be a very slick move by the Detroit Lions. But, Paul, you're expecting some points in this football game. Track meet in Minneapolis.
I don't know if it's a track meet, but the Lions' defense has not been very good this year, and I look for some points. Not my best play, but look for some points.
The total's 50.5, so it better be a track meet.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. The Wicked Wednesday continues. I am Gabriel Morency. So we're just talking about the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Viking game. We'll see if the Vikings cool off. They were undefeated. They were playing great football. They elected to take the bye. When you go to London, the NFL gives you the choice whether you want to take a bye week when you come back or you can play the following week. So they give you the luxury of deciding. Some teams say, you know what, we'll bite the bullet. We'll keep on playing. Didn't work out for the New York Jets. And then you got the Minnesota Vikings that said, all right, we'll shut it down for a week, although I don't think the Vikings expected to be undefeated at this point, but should be a fun game. I'm kind of leaning with I think there's going to be points in this game as well, right? And I'm not so sure that Minnesota are going to be cold because of the break. They were kind of beat up as well, so I think they're going to welcome a break. So I like your over there, Paul, but you say it's not your favorite play. You like the Seattle Seahawks game more, Paul. So talk to me about the Seahawks game against the Atlanta Falcons.
I really like the Seahawks here in this spot. Now, mind you, I've been against Seattle the last 2 weeks. San Francisco, the Giants go into Seattle, beat them 29-20. But this is a spot where they take on an Atlanta team off a very deceptive final in 38-20 over Carolina. This was actually a 28-20 game, and Carolina was driving. Andy Dalton throws an interception. Atlanta comes back down the field. There were a few broken plays, notably one to Kyle Pitts that went for 45 yards. Atlanta was very fortunate. They also had a blocked punt, started with a short field at the 27-yard line, courtesy of a penalty that was tacked on, and they rang up a few points that maybe they shouldn't have. But Atlanta, you could run against them. They give up an average of 144 yards a game on the ground. That is near the bottom. So now you have a Seattle offense that should be able to run, that has a fairly prolific passing offense. They're going to put some points on the board. Atlanta's offense has been touch and go. At times good, at times not so much. So this is a game where I see Seattle
more touch than go.
Yeah,
you're right.
Well,
they've had a few spots, but it's sputters. Let's call it out for what it is.
It's sputters. It's sputters is exactly right. It sputtered in the first half of that Carolina game. They only had 7 points with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. So this is a game I see the Seahawks putting up 27-30 on the road, and that should be enough, obviously, for the cover and also to get this one over the 51. I have it at 50, but of course that number is long gone.
Panthers Commanders totals 51.5 right now. Are you expecting points in this football game?
Look, I had the Ravens Sunday. I know it was the square side, a late 6.5. I went over on the game, caught it with that late field goal. They just went up and down the field on that Washington team. That Commanders team, kudos to them, but they really don't stop anybody. I mean, it's as good as Jaden Daniels and as far as he will take them. And, yeah, he could take them to 30-plus points here. More than likely he will, because Carolina is still pretty decimated on defense. They lost their top 2 linebackers, who, when they went out with the 2 leading tacklers, they have several omissions in and around the defense. It has hurt them, and I just think you're going to see points in this game by both teams, and you'll get over the number. I think I got this at 51. It's at 52, but you certainly can't play these Commander games under the total. Makes no sense, because they're going to score, they're going to throw the football, they're going to stop the clock, and they're going to give up points.
Paul Bovey kicking with us. A big game this week. There's a lot of big, interesting games in the NFL. We're talking about San Francisco and KC earlier with Brady Cannon. Minnesota and Detroit, big-time divisional head-to-head matchup. And then you got an interconference matchup here that's a fun game between pretty evenly matched teams in the Houston Texans and the Green Bay Packers. I know, Paul, coming into the year, you were high on Jordan Love to win the MVP. I agreed. I'm a big Packer believer. I actually thought, I said before the year, I'm going to say the Packers or the Lions could get to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. And Jordan Love's got 12 touchdown passes, and he's missed 2 games, right? So, obviously, their offense is prolific right now, and it's starting to click. What's your take on the Texans going into Green Bay?
Prolific, yes. That was a 24-0 game. And then Arizona, the beneficiary of 2 penalties, which gave them a short field, 30 yards of penalties, and they go in for a touchdown. So then it's sitting at 24-7. Green Bay's got the ball. They're driving, and Jordan Love throws an interception, which was 100% not his fault. The receiver, Melton, fell down. It landed in the hands of the defender, and Arizona closed the gap. This was as much as a domination that you will see in the NFL. Arizona couldn't do anything. Green Bay just owned them up and down the field. Their offense looked crisp. Jordan Love was getting it into tight windows, throwing it to a number of different receivers. By the time the second quarter hit, he had already hit 6 different receivers. Texans, are you impressed with 41 points against the Patriots, courtesy of 4 turnovers? I'm not. It was a lot of turnovers. They really couldn't run the football very well. They did have 384 yards, but I will tell you that out of the 192 that they had running the football, 113 came by way of 2 plays. So you take the other 26 carries, and they had around 70 yards. It was just New England playing giveaway. It was Drake May's first game. He threw a couple nice balls, but unfortunately fumbles, and it wasn't entirely his doing because the offensive line just wasn't protecting. They were getting edge rushes, hitting them every time, and it forced them into turnovers. I'm not impressed with the Texans. They scored 19 against Chicago, 7 against Minnesota, 24 and 23 against Buffalo and Jacksonville, and 4 and 3-point wins. And then last week, an inflated 41 misleading final score.
Paul Bovey. And I agree with pretty much everything you just said about the Texans. You could see early in the year that Bear game was telling, right? Caleb Williams, it was like his second career game or whatever, and they were in that game, right? The Bears defense, you could sort of see they were terrorizing Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud. They were confusing them. And, I just get the feeling the Texans are a little overvalued as well. But It's down to 2.5. You know, the 3 was up. I even see a 2.5. Right, Paul, before we get you out of here, college football, this Vanderbilt team has been on a roll right now, and it looks like you want to buy low, so to speak, on their opponents. You know, you got Ball State. Everyone's going to be looking at Vandy coming off these big conference wins. And you've also got a total on your card here, New Mexico and Utah State to the over. Yeah, this Utah State defense, brutal. These guys are giving up like 54 points a game.
Brutal. They're both brutal. And I'll tell you one thing about the Ball State game. Ball State is a bad football team. It's a MAC team. They've given up a lot of points, but Vandy is in a really tough spot. They've come off 2 tough conference games, one of which was an upset at Alabama. They have another conference game, a big one next week. And now you take on at home lowly Ball State. I could see them winning by 17 points, cruising through the game, looking ahead. It's a perfect spot. I took 27. It's down to 25. No one's playing it because Ball State's a good team. They're playing it because Vandy is in a tough spot. As far as the other game, New Mexico and Utah State, this game could see 90-plus points. I mean, they let New Mexico did the New Mexico State Aggies run roughshod on them to the tune of 40 points. I was lucky to cover that game, 50-40, but a lot of points here.
Paul Bovey. Great stuff, Paul.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Thanks to Paul Bovey for kicking it with us on the Wicked Wednesday. The Los Angeles Dodgers are up 8-0 right now, so the total hits to the over. Game gets there on its own with the Dodgers. They're looking for more, actually. They got runners on first and third right now, late in this baseball game. We got a football game going on as well. And we jumped in on UTEP at plus 7.5. UTEP are now up 20-14 with 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter of play. So, you know, are they good teams? No. But similar to last night, Louisiana Tech, and if you guys were tuning in last night, it was scoreless after the first quarter of play. And I said, you know what? I think this game could still go over the number. It could end up going to overtime, and crazy things could end up happening. And it actually worked out, and it did. So wild football game. And I had a feeling tonight's game would kind of be similar, where, yeah, UTEP aren't good, but this is a game that they see that, you know what, we have a chance of actually winning this game. FIU aren't great either. They lost to Monmouth earlier in the year. No disrespect to Monmouth. But FIU are an up-and-down team. Like, they're not, this is, you know, they were good for a few years. They're not right now. So them laying 7 points was just more of a factor of UTEP being terrible. But the Dodger game, very interesting turn of events in this series. Taking a 2-1 series lead. For the record, teams that win in a 7-game series in the playoffs when it's tied 1-1, teams that win game 3 go on to win the series 72% of the time. But it's the same damn number when it's tied 2-2, whoever wins game 5. So whatever. I don't know if there's a 72% chance the Dodgers are going to win the series now. That might that feels a little bit high right now. And then we got the Yankees and the Guardians going tomorrow. The Guardians in an absolutely positively have to win the baseball game. Boyd against Schmidt tomorrow. NHL in-game hockey right now. The Boston Bruins are up 4-2 on the Colorado Avalanche. Cam, the Avalanche can't keep the puck out of the net. The in-game total is 9.5 right now. They really have a legitimate problem. It's, you know, some teams lose early in the season and the fan bases panic and flip out. Yep. But it's different if you're just giving up like 5, 6, 7 goals. And, like, you know, you can't score 5 goals a game. You're not going to be able to win. So the Avalanche have a serious problem keeping the puck out of the net to start the season. Down 4-2 right now. We like the Bruins there. And unfortunately, we were on the Anaheim Ducks, who are losing 2-1 right now, early in the second period of play.
Well, Gabe, I think we can get Anaheim plus 1.5 even juice, and I like the plus 240 live. A lot of hockey left. As for Colorado, the top 6 with them, not great right now. This team looks disheveled. The defense is horrible. Georgiev and net is bad. They're not helping them out. It's just this team gave up 8 goals to Vegas, and now all of a sudden, like, you're already giving up 4 to Boston. Like this, you said it. Like this, I understand the Oilers. They came back. Philadelphia gave them fits. Great hockey game. That's different. Colorado, you said it. They have deep-seated issues that have to be addressed. Like, this is not the Colorado Avalanche we know.
Yeah, they're going to have a team meeting. Let's. I don't know if the meeting will help, but I guarantee you're going to see that story in the next tomorrow, whatever. Avalanche had a players-only team meeting to clear the air. And the Oilers barely came back last night, but they did get the win to get their first win of the season. Let's bring in Ian Cameron right now. But Bano, what do you think of the Colorado Avalanche start to the season? Boston Bruins up 4-2 right now.
Well, I know they have injuries, and I know they've made that remark on the broadcast with Kenny and Eddie and Brian Boucher on TNT about it, but they can't just blame it all on injuries. Sure, they miss Arturi Lehkonen. Sure, they miss Jonathan Drouin. Sure, they miss Val Nichushkin, who screwed up enough times now where you wonder if he's even going to be back with this Avalanche team. The fact remains they're not defending well enough in their own zone. They're treating the puck like a hand grenade on a nightly basis, turning it over in spots where the puck is being fished out of their own net because the other team is capitalizing, and then they're not getting saves when they need them because Alexander Georgiev has completely and utterly lost his confidence. He looks shot right now, once again, which is something we thought maybe was happening to him at times last year, especially late in the regular season. So it's a multitude of issues. Injuries are part of it, but you just got to defend better. You have to take more pride in protecting your own net than what I'm seeing from this Colorado team, and you need better goaltending. This is clearly not anything close to NHL level goaltending that you're getting right now from Alexander Georgiev.
Right now, the in-game total in the Utah-Anaheim game is 6.5. Well, it's plus 140 to the under. I'm going to jump in on that. Anytime I'm getting plus money, I'm already on the Ducks at plus 140, so this will sort of even it out. If we can go 1-1, we won't lose money. We'll make the 40-cent difference if somehow we can hit them both. But I'm going to jump in now. Utah and Anaheim under 6.5. And as I talk, it just goes to plus 135. So let me get it on this. Cam, what's your in-game bet for this game? You said you're taking the Ducks plus 1.5.
Yeah, I will. And I'll sprinkle on the money line plus 240. It's a 1-goal game. They scored first. Utah got 2, Gabe. But I kind of like your approach. If you're on the Ducks, you're worried about it. You know, maybe you hit that under in that game. We'll see what happens. Unless it's 3-3, you got a good chance. But I like Anaheim in this spot. Plus 1.5 to even money, too. That looks good. Game might go to overtime. And I like that. Now it's up to plus 250. I think it's a great price for a team down 1 goal.
8-0 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. This game is about to be put on ice. Right now. There's 2 out in the bottom of the 9th inning. Great performance by the Dodgers tonight, just sort of systematically putting up runs through a couple of early runs. And then Kiki Hernandez steps up with a big-time home run to make it 4-0. Ohtani. Yeah, Kiki Hernandez is becoming a legend.
He's
in the postseason. Like, that's why he's on the roster. He's one of these dudes, like in the regular season.
That's what he looks like.
He's going to hit 240. He's going to hit 240 in a regular season, 250, and in the playoffs. Dude, he's got more home runs than Alex Rodriguez and like Manny Ramirez in the playoffs now.
You're absolutely right, Gabe. And who cares about what he does in the regular season? Kiki Hernandez is so damn clutch every time. And this has been going on for a long time now. Like, this guy just shows up in the postseason. That's the guy you want in your team. He looks very comfortable out there. I love Kiki Hernandez. Good on him.
Man, the Dodgers have a little bit of a swagger. It's a final score right now. Dodgers win and are up 2-1. It's a little bit of a sigh of relief if you're the Dodgers. Although the Dodgers seem pretty calm actually throughout the playoffs. They're not really an uptight team, but now there's real pressure tomorrow. Like, if you're the New York Mets, you can't be down 3-1 with 2 games in LA in their back pocket still. Massive game tomorrow. Our boy Jack knows it.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. We've got a number for Game 4. Citi Field tomorrow night, another night game. The Yankees are up first at 5:08 Eastern time. The Yankees minus 112 with Schmidt on the hill against Boyd. The Guardians minus 104. The total is 7.5 in that game. The LA Dodgers now up 2-1. They're sending Yamamoto to the hill tomorrow night. Yamamoto was spectacular in the Game 5 against San Diego, and the Mets are responding with Quintana, plus 120, the Mets. The Mets will be a popular – listen, the Mets were a popular pick today, and I couldn't really even argue it, right? Walker Buehler has had bad luck, but I understand that people didn't believe in Walker Buehler. And, the fact that the Dodgers were favorites tonight, I know a lot of people like the Mets. I kind of expected the Dodgers. It's kind of like the hockey playoffs, guys. The old zigzag, right? We're kind of seeing this, and it kind of sets up like the Mets were the hungry team on Monday afternoon. They were like, damn, we can't go down 2-0. They scored early. They were just relentless through the game. Tonight, the Dodgers had that attitude of, we can't go down 2-1 with another 2 games in this madhouse for the next 2 days here. So the Mets will be the desperate team tomorrow, and they're plus 120. But I'll tell you what, Yamamoto was great against San Diego. What's your pick tomorrow night, Cam? The Dodgers or the Mets?
I lean Dodgers in this spot. It's interesting, though, when everyone's down on Buehler, then you bet them. When the Dodgers were left to die and David Roberts actually took the team with spot starters, they were done, they won. It's almost like you want to take the guy, it's kind of not the hot hand, you know what I mean? But Yamamoto showed me a lot that last start, and Roberts has done a great job with this lineup. Muncie's on fire. Ohtani hit a bomb tonight. That bodes well for L.A. Lean Dodgers, Gabe.
I'll throw this, and I'll get Babano's pick in a second, but if you like the Mets to win this series, you probably have to say it's going to happen in 7 games. And you're getting, you get plus 500. Plus 500 in 7. The Mets to win in 6, that's not going to happen. I don't think the Mets are going to win every game from here on out. That's plus 900 right now. I took the Dodgers to win the series at minus 188 before the series started. I flipped over my San Diego series bet. And I also bet the Dodgers specifically to win the series in 6 games at plus 350. Dodgers to win in 6 right now is plus 220. Dodgers to win in 7 is plus 380. Dodgers to win in 5 is plus 210. What's your pick tomorrow, Babano? You just said a couple of minutes ago you're taking the Mets, right?
3 times the Mets have lost previously. 5-3 to the Brewers in the wild card round, responded 1-4-2 next game. Lost to the Phillies 7-6 in the division series, won the next game 7-2. Blown out 9-0 by the Dodgers in game 1, win the next game 7-3. Simple as that. Mets tomorrow for me. They're a resilient team. I expect them to show it again. And I respect Yamamoto the way he's pitched, but Quintana's been solid too, and they've been a respond team all playoffs. So, and the price is nice at plus 120. So I'm on the Mets here.
What's your pick, Babano, for the Yankees and the Guardians game tomorrow?
I got to admit, I think it could go 3-0. This is where you're finding the shortcomings of the starting rotation. I mean, with all due respect, Alex Cobb's nice little career, but come on. I mean, being a big-time starter in a big-time playoff game, I'm not so sure. Matt Boyd, same thing. I love the pen. I love the relievers that they can throw at them. But the starting rotation is leaving a lot to be desired for Cleveland, and we're starting to see that. And Clark Schmidt's pitched well here in the postseason and down the stretch for the New York Yankees. And they just look like the better team. I mean, I don't know what answers Cleveland has, and they need to start hitting. Rocchio can't be your best hitter. For the credit to him, he's been great here in the playoffs. But where's Ramirez? Where's Stephen Kwan? Where's some of these other guys? They've disappeared with the bat a little bit in this series. So they need those guys to step up. I'm not so sure a change of venue to Cleveland be what cures things for the Guardians. I think the price is cheap on Schmidt the way he's pitching in the Yankees tomorrow.
Cam, Guardians or Yankees for you tomorrow?
I'm going to take the Guardians, hold my breath, but you guys are right about Schmidt. He's been fantastic. I think Cleveland, the home field advantage is key for them. They got to get off to a good start. They got to get to Schmidt, and then they'll be fine. That's the whole key to the Guardians, Gabe, and we've talked about this many times. You get a lead after 5 or 6 with that bullpen, they'll win the game. That's the whole key. They can't be coming back from behind, and they've almost done it the last couple games. Score early, win late. I'll take Cleveland, but Babano brings up great points. The Yankees look great right now, and let's give Boone some credit. He's done good things with that lineup, too. He's managed well.
Yeah, I'll die on the Guardians hill tomorrow as well. I'll take one more. I'll take a shot with them. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to win the series, right? They're in tough.
Yeah,
I doubt they win 3 straight in Cleveland. But whatever, they get this one. Maybe they can squeeze 2 out of the 3 in C-Town. Like you said,
get on Guardians hill.
They got to score early, the Guardians. Like, just point blank. They need to score early.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Well, FIU have taken a 21-20 lead on UTEP. We're late in the third quarter of play right now. So the in-game total is currently 53.5. We're at 41. And UTEP have the ball right now, so they're down 1. The point spread is only 2.5, actually. FIU are minus 2.5 right now. We got it at 7.5 in-game. I never pulled the trigger on the over on anything in this game. I thought about jumping in when it was 47.5, 48.5. I didn't. I missed it. Now it's 53.5. So in other words, 2 touchdowns. Will there be 2 more touchdowns in this game? We all know, and you know, Babano, UTEP's offense is kind of challenged, to say the least, right? But I figured, they'd be able to score and hang around in this game. But we'll get back to the football. Let's get to Cam's golf picks. We had Brady on earlier. Cam, what do you got for the Shriners Open tomorrow?
I'm glad you asked, Gabe. And by the way, what Brady was talking about is true. There have been some first-round leader bets that have gone from 100 to 61 due to these wind conditions. So the wind in Vegas is very, very real. So check the early times and the late times, everybody. Let's go. First-round leaders. If you guys want to start with that, that's one of our favorites. So we will take a look at the first-round leaders with Bo Hostler. I know Brady likes him to win the tournament. All he does is show up early in tournaments, always in the top 5. I like Bo Hostler. Steven Yager was very close last week, also notorious good starter. Couldn't get it done on Sunday, but I'll take him at 40. Gabe, one of Brady's picks was Harry Hall. He's also a Brit that went to UNLV, very familiar with TPC Summerlin and Desert Golf at 50-1. Matty Schmid, I got 2 Germans on the card. Let's get it done here. This guy was absolutely stunning last week, closed with a 62. He is going to be in the mix, and he can play well on Thursdays. 2 bombs for you. Trey Mullinex, one of these guys that nobody really talks about, but a very good golfer in the swing and fall season when all the big guys are out, 100-1. And Ben Silverman, the Canadian that no one talks about, top 20 in this event before. He plays really, really well in the desert, residing in Florida. Watch out for Canadians this week. They can play well in the wind. This is what we're going to do for the outrights. I know Tom Kim has the cards. Gabe, on one of our sports book, he's 11 or 12-1, but there's a boost to 16. The guy won 2 back-to-back. So he's going for a 3-peat. You don't get that in golf, like winning back to back, but back to back to back. That's nuts. He has to be played. Jagger, I'm going back to the well at 35. He finished second last week. It was heartbreaking. Eric Cole, Gabe knows I have an addiction to Eric Cole. He's probably safer for a top 20, but you know what? This guy finished third last year at this event. Give him to me at 35-1. Harris English, hello. We're in great form at 50-1. As I said, Matty Schmid is a guy that is playing great golf, peaking at the right time. And Henrik Norlander, we had him last week at 100. He finished T8. Playing very, very well in the fall swing. Let's go with the top positional plays. Tom Kim for a top 10, plus 170. Bo Hostler for a top 10, plus 320. Incredible price. Hoagie Sandwich, always a top 10 and 20 machine at this course, plus 160. Cam Davis, Brady likes him outright. I'll take the plus 190 for a top 20 with the talented Aussie. Harry Hall, top 20. Remember, UNLV guy. So does Kurt Kitayama. A lot of people like him this week. I like Hall and Kitayama. And Andrew Putnam, for a top 20, plus 210, Gabe. These are my bets this week. Good luck, everybody. Check out the weather conditions. This could be a very, very good live betting tournament when the winds pick up. You might have some guys who come from nowhere when they're playing in, pristine conditions, and things can get wild if the guy's in the lead and has to play in 35-mile-an-hour winds. Should be interesting.
Sounds pretty challenging, actually, this tournament, due to the different tee times and due to the weather. Mm-hmm. I see an odds boost here, which is somewhat intriguing, plus 2168, nearly 22-1. Tom Hoagie, top 20. Steven Yeager, top 20. And Keith Mitchell, top 20.
He's
but
the
Mitchell
guy.
would be the one, that could be the parlay breaker here. Babano, any picks for you for the Shriners Open?
I don't have any, unfortunately. Golf guys called it a year, so we'll see in the Hawaii swing.
Full swing? Is he a golf guy?
He does not. No,
you got to
see
play
in the
every
Hawaii
week.
swing.
He's not very much of a golf guy, is he?
Guys.
I'm
See in Hawaii,
the golf
boys.
guy. I'm the golf guy. No, Brady's the golf guy.
Babano's
Gabe,
golf guy.
Hilarious. Oh, he's coming back in Hawaii, Gabe. I love it. He's taking like 3 months off. Oh, that's amazing. Love it. Good stuff, Babano.
I guess he's got priorities elsewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I brought up earlier, and I'm going to take a look here and see what I can get for a top 20 for Cam Davis. Top 20.
Plus 190.
Is it plus 190? That's not bad.
Yeah,
I'd like a little bit more. I was hoping it would be like plus 250 or something like that, but I think Cam Davis is a good look. Nick Taylor, super popular pick, and he's all the way down to 50-1 because he's part of that first group, so he's going to get the better weather. I'll take a piece of Nick Taylor to be top 20 as well, which is also plays pretty well here. Plus 220.
It's a good price.
Plus 220. And here's Cam Davis, plus 210 right now.
Wow,
Cameron Davis, plus 210 for top 20. You can bet top 30s as well if you want. All right, Babano in the house with us. Babano, did you bet the FIU UTEP game? 21-20 right now. UTEP are down by a point. Did you bet this game?
Yeah, I got FIU at -5, a better early in the week. A good number. I don't know if it's going to matter, though, at this point. They're only up by – they lost their quarterback, though, too. Kewan Jenkins, who's actually played a lot better the last few games, and he gets injured early in the game. So they got Amari Jones, I believe, is his name at quarterback. And it's been rough for this FIU offense since then. And, in fact, both games, quarterbacks got injured for their respective teams. Sam Houston State lost Hunter Watson in the first half, and after that, they didn't do anything on offense against Western Kentucky, and Western Kentucky gets the win there in that game, which is a big game because whoever won that game tonight is going to have the best chance to at least challenge Liberty to try to win that conference.
Yeah, you're right. I brought it up earlier. It was for second place in the Conference USA. So Georgia State and Marshall tomorrow, and you got Boston College and Virginia Tech. Boston College are getting 7.5 at Va Tech. Marshall are 9-point favorites hosting Georgia State. Total is 51.5 there, 48.5 in the Boston College Va Tech game. Friday night, we've got 4 games on tap. It's a big, BYU actually is the big story here. But Florida State get 3 points at Duke. The Ducks coming off their emotional win. Interesting, now they got to fly cross country to play Purdue, who are going to be all fired up in this game. The Ducks are laying 27.5 Friday night. It's rare to see the Ducks on a Friday night. Oklahoma State and BYU. Got to love those Fox Friday night games. Oklahoma State and BYU. BYU been a great story. 9.5-point favorites over Oklahoma State in this game, and Fresno State lay 3 points at Nevada. What do you think about the week games here, Babano?
So I like the over with Georgia State and Marshall. There's a Canadian quarterback playing right now for Georgia State, Christian Veilleux. He's been a little inconsistent for Georgia State, but I think he's from Ottawa. But he's been up and down. But Marshall's defense sometimes can give up points. We saw them even in the win against App State. They gave up a lot of points. The key thing for Marshall is they like to run the ball, and that's when they're at their best. Georgia State is not good stopping the run. So Marshall should be able to have success offensively doing what they want. So I like the over there. BC Virginia Tech is tough. I don't know if I'm ready to rush to bet against Virginia Tech. They're starting to rev it up. You know, the Miami game they should have won. They could have won. They go to Stanford. They romp over Stanford in that game. Kyron Drones is playing very well at quarterback, and they're letting him run now. He's becoming more of a mobile threat, throwing the ball better. Blacksburg, Virginia at night, tough place to play. But now it's 7.5. I'm a little bit, I don't want to lay that many. I think below 7, I like Virginia Tech. Boston College, a scrappy team. Castellanos is making some mistakes, though. They blew that game against Virginia with turnovers, and they lost that game. Hopefully they can fix it. I still lean Virginia Tech. I just don't love the number. On Friday, I like Duke. I'm going to take Duke. On Florida State, look, I know they're off a bye, and you could say Duke's never beaten Florida State. And you're right. Florida State's beaten Duke every game, I think, since 1998. I get the series history. It's been all Florida State. But, man, I don't trust that team to have the mindset with how disappointing the season has been to be ready and wanting to put their best foot. And Duke, for the Friday night game at home, it's big for them. I like Duke there.
The UTEP Miners have just marched the ball down the field. 2nd and goal on the 3-yard line right now.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
College football, listen, it's a great time of the sports year right now, but college football is getting serious. We're at the halfway point now, and you start to separate the pretenders and the contenders, and there's still a few undefeated teams. No one's talking about BYU, who are BYU just having a great season. this year. Not only are they 6-0 straight up, they're 6-0 against the spread, guys. They've covered every football game that they played in. But I saw that McAfee had Coach Monken on today from Army. So Army are getting some national love right now. And it's legitimate, man. Army and Navy are on a collision course. They both play Notre Dame, except it's pretty crazy. And this is the downside a little bit to college football and the new stuff, even though the schedules are cool, is Army-Navy could play each other like you got the Army-Navy game. And, you get the conference now and stuff. So they could play multiple times, right? And it takes a little bit of the drama away. Sort of, like with Georgia and Alabama, right? Oh, well, they could play 3 times this year. All right, so what does this game really mean then? Look at, and that's the problem, guys. Look at Ohio State. Ohio State loses to Oregon. They're still ranked freaking 4th. What are we playing the games for?
Exactly.
Like, seriously, Ohio State should have fallen more, right? They play a cupcake schedule. They play one real team, and they lose. And they really are. And I saw a tweet. I retweeted earlier in the day. Besides Paul Bovey, they really are the Karens of the college football world, Ohio State. Oh, they stole our signs. Oh, they're recruiting. Harbaugh bought them a hamburger at lunch. Their practices are too long. And Jack of Penn State guy, you know what I mean? Now it's like, oh, Lanning outsmarted us. For people that don't know, late in the football game, Lanning deliberately took a penalty, knowing that he would give up the 5 yards, but it would also kill like 5 seconds off the clock. They're not going to put the time back on the clock. So he told them just put too many men on the field, and there was a penalty, and it actually killed some time on the clock. And the NCAA actually changed the rule today. I've never seen them act that fast on anything. Like normally it's, we'll look into changing the rule. They literally changed the rule, so you can't do that. You can't take a deliberate penalty anymore because Lanning admitted, he should never have admitted it. He admitted that he did it deliberately. And then Ohio State, we would have won if it wasn't for that. We would have won if Michigan wasn't doing our signs and blah, 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 blah. It gets old with them. So I'm glad to see them lose, which they did to the Ducks. What do you think of that game of battle, the Ducks and Purdue? The Ducks coming off a massive win. It's, this is the classic emotional letdown spot. I don't believe in look-aheads, but I do believe in letdowns. And you're coming off a massive win like this. There's no way in hell any kid on Oregon, they're going to think that Purdue is any good. They're going to think they're 1-5. They suck. We're going to kill them. Weird things can happen on a Friday night. It's a lot of points to lay on the road. What's your take on that one, Babano?
It is. For just purely situational, it's brutal for Oregon. I mean, it's not only the huge win against Ohio State and playing lowly Purdue, it's also Saturday to a Friday night, and it's with the travel going across 2 time zones from Oregon to Indiana to West Lafayette. So it's a brutal scheduling spot if you throw in the travel. But problem is Purdue's defense is even more brutal. Okay, so how the hell are they going to stop Oregon? This is a horrible team defensively. They've given up 50s in the last 2 games. If Oregon's got even their head on straight a little bit, they might be able to score on every possession in this football game against Purdue. But Purdue made a quarterback change prior to the Illinois game. Well, not a quarterback change. Hudson Card was injured. They probably should have made a quarterback change before he got injured because Hudson Card hasn't played that well. They go to Ryan Brown. The guy played pretty well, and he gave that Purdue offensive spark against Illinois last week. Well, so I like the over even more than taking Purdue plus the points there.
We got to take a look at the Thursday nighter tomorrow in the National Football League. The Denver Broncos are 2.5-point favorites over the Saints. It's the Sean Payton Bowl. The total is 37 in this game. I think it's a hard, listen, the Saints, the problem with the Saints is, well, they have a lot of problems with the Saints, but one of the big issues with the Saints is tomorrow, who the hell is Spencer Rattler going to be throwing the football to? Right? Like, they're so beat up. Like, so Chris Olave is now out of this game. I'm looking right now. I want to see, like, who's who are they going to have to throw the football to? So Bob Means, Foster Moreau, Mason Tipton, Jawan Johnson. It's not pretty. And it's like poor Spencer Rattler. It's like South Carolina all over again, this kid. It's like good news, bad news, kid. You made it to the NFL because we liked the way you ran for your life, and, you got it done on a bad football team with the Gamecocks. And now you're going to start, but you're going to lose most of your weapons. There's going to be a heavy dose of Kamara tomorrow. Kamara's reception prop is 4.5. Last week, one of the best bets, and I nailed it, was Spencer Rattler rush yards. It was 15.5. Spencer Rattler's rush yards tomorrow was 21.5. I would still take it to the over. He's a young quarterback. Denver's going to get to him a couple of times. He's going to take off. I still think there's points in this game, guys. So I'm not going to cop out and say no pick. It's a tough-ass game to pick. I want to take the Saints because I like Rattler. But what I am going to say is I think the over is the play here. New Orleans' defense is bad. All right, like you know, they're going to be able to move the ball. Even Denver's pedestrian offense will be able to score a couple of touchdowns and some field goals here. 37 is super light, indoors in a dome. And we just saw Rattler can move the ball. The Saints can put points up on the board. Even with these injuries, he'll find a way. They're going to move the ball. 37, far too light in my opinion. What's your pick, Cam, for tomorrow night's football game?
I like Denver, but I'm kind of with you with the total in the game. It could be light. Bo Nix can make some mistakes, and I think Rattler can as well. It's really tough receiving core that New Orleans has. But, yeah, Kamara, he'll do his thing. But I believe in Denver in this spot, Gabe. And I know the line has gone up, which I really don't like. But I think the Broncos win, and I think the game should go over the number. That total seems very low.
Well, we'll get Babano's pick on the other side. I don't have a lot. I know Denver have had a couple of games where they won. I don't have a ton of confidence in them. And it's also, you throw in the Sean Payton factor to this. You know, Dennis Allen was the coach, was with them there, so they're good friends. There's a lot of weird sort of nuances about this football game. But Rattler looked pretty good in his debut. At least in the first half he did.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. I was saying earlier that Kiki Hernandez has literally like some of the best all-time numbers in postseason history in Major League Baseball history, and it's not an exaggeration. So how about this? Highest OPS on road, postseason history, minimum 75 plate appearances. So that's quite a body of work. Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Carlos Beltran, Kiki Hernandez. So Lou Gehrig's got a 1.375 OPS on the road in his career. Babe Ruth was 1.315. Carlos Beltran, 1.141. Kiki Hernandez, 1.077. So basically, Kiki Hernandez is on a list with Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth, like all time. Like I said, he's got. I know. I saw the other day, and I know now he's past A-Rod, Manny Ramirez. I want to get all the list of players. I saw the list of players that he has more postseason home runs than, and they're all Hall of Famers. It's crazy. This guy saves his best for the postseason. He's a playoff killer, this guy.
It's all that matters. Cares about the regular season. It's all about the big other guys go to fade in the playoffs, and then you see their teams lose. Kiki Hernandez is the complete opposite. Can you believe that list, Morency? Those are the best baseball players of all time, and then there's Kiki Hernandez in the 4-hole. That is unbelievable. Like, it's shocking. That's a trivia question. Nobody would get that one. They go, who's number 4? You go, I don't know. Like, who would know? Like, that's wild.
And to put in context, he bats 8th for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So they have him.
Yes,
he's batting. They have him in the 8-hole. That's what makes the Dodgers dangerous right now. They're getting production from the back end of their order. Edman's been unbelievable as well. I love the pickup when they got him, and man, he's been. I think he's hitting like 325 now, something like that. He was hitting 333 coming into tonight in the postseason. He's been super consistent. All right, so Babano, we didn't give you a crack tomorrow. Oh, and for the record, the Colorado Avalanche just scored. So it's 4-3 for the Bruins right now with 14 minutes remaining. And it's 3-2 for the Ducks after 2 periods of play. And it's pretty crazy because we got the Ducks at plus 140. You want to talk about crazy hockey price swings. The Ducks are now minus 280 favorites. Yeah. The Utah Hockey Club are plus 215 now. It's only a 1-goal game. And Utah were actually the favorites before. It's a wild, wild swing there.
Yep. Got him at plus 250, Morency. I might have to sprinkle on the Utah Hockey Club and middle this bad boy, but we're on the dog at the start of the game.
Babano, your pick for the Denver Saints game tomorrow. You think Sean Payton gets it done in his homecoming game?
I'll own it if this loses, but this to me is one of the best, strongest Thursday night football side opinions I've had in a very long time. I think Denver wins this one and maybe wins it comfortably. How can you back a team with 17 players on the injured list? Olave and Shaheed, your 2 best receivers out. Cesar Ruiz, your left guard is out. You're the backup center on that offensive line already, like we saw last week against Tampa Bay. 2 linebackers, Willie Gay, as well as Pete Werner, didn't play last week. Neither of them are coming back for this game. Will Harris, one of your starting safeties, is out. You've got 17 players on this injured list. That was a skeleton New Orleans Saints football team in that second half against Tampa Bay. They get ripped for 51 points. It is a decimated group. Denver, I think, is capable of going in there. I know they're traveling on a short week, but don't forget before the Chargers game, which, look, their offense took a step back with Bo Nix and company, but they also won 3 in a row. One of those games was against Tampa Bay on the road. This is just too depleted a New Orleans team for me to trust them to compete right now. I like Denver to win this game.
Babano laying the hammer down on this one tomorrow. That's why I like the over 37. Like you said, it could.
I'm with you on the total. Total's a bit too low. For a team that just gave up 51 last week, all those defensive injuries, and the total's only 37 here. Now, they do have O-line injuries, and they do have their top 2 receivers out, so that's really going to hurt the Saints' offense, too. But their defense,
that's why I said.
It's hard to get stops.
Poor Spencer Rattler. I mean, the kid's starting his second game in the NFL. It's like, oh, by the way, you don't have your wide receivers.
And backup center, starting guard out. It goes on,
Like he's everything's the tough way for Spencer Rattler. But I do like the over in this football game tomorrow night. I'll have more picks tomorrow. Big baseball game tomorrow night. Oh yeah, so tomorrow we're on at 8:00 Eastern time for the Saints and the Bronco game. Sirius XM channel 159. SportsGrid on demand on YouTube on Mondays and Thursdays. And Mick Ossie's a Denver Bronco fan, so Mick Ossie will step up and in live tomorrow night during this game. Maybe we'll have to get him on in the first half so he's not too lit up yet as the game goes on. He might enjoy himself when his Denver Broncos are on. All right, follow Babano on Twitter at Babano Bets, and we'll see you tomorrow. for the Thursday night throwdown. Other than that, you're on your own later.